Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. We have got three awesome guests with you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Linda, Leva, and Katelyn. Have I said that?
Hello.
I have said that right, haven't I?
Yeah, you
Yes,
said
you
it
said
right.
it. You said it right.
Okay, good. I get paranoid with names. Guys, how are we? Welcome to Let's Get Freaky.
We're good. How are you?
So you're in Salem, but not
Yes.
not Massachusetts. The
No.
other
No.
Salem. The other
Yes.
Salem.
Yes. Salem, Indiana.
Still cool though, still very spooky.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about, should we go around the table? Tell us a little bit about yourselves and then we'll get into the paranormal stuff.
You want to go first?
Good. You know.
Okay. Well, I'm Linda. I've always been interested in the paranormal. It's just something that's always piqued my interest all my life. Has few odd paranormal experiences through my life, and started going and investigating certain locations, never filming anything. And then eventually we started going to locations together, and then we decided, hey, let's just start filming what we're experiencing. And that's just kind of where the channel's taken off, where we are.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, I'm Katelyn. A lot like Linda, I grew up in a very paranormal active house. And it seemed to follow me to house every time I moved. So it really drew me into the paranormal. And then Linda and I became friends, and then we were both obsessed with it. And then when we all got together, we started filming. That's what really took us off, just to see what we could find.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Leva, and I'm the one who is, I don't know, iffy on some stuff when I first joined, and then
Okay, you're the
the more I
skeptic.
got in, yes, and then
Yeah,
the more and
that's
more we
good.
done it, the more I believe, especially because of this
Now Dorothy is
Yeah.
her
attachment, I guess you can say.
So for the people listening, there is another guest here. We've got Dorothy in the background, who is
Yes.
a very scary looking doll.
She's done some scary things.
Does Dorothy come out investigating with you guys?
Well, that wasn't what she did until I took her, and that was a mistake because something attached itself to her and came back to our studio or back to me or whatever.
Whoa. Well,
Yeah.
before we started recording, you guys were looking around as if there was something going on. Is there anything going on right now?
We can hear some stuff.
Yeah, we can hear some
Ah.
walking around in here. So yeah, she's always
Interesting.
lurking.
Dorothy looks very freaky, I've got to say. Dolls scare me. I've got two daughters, they've got a lot of dolls, and they freak me out, man. There's even dolls
Yeah.
that are not haunted freak me out. So haunted dolls definitely freak me out. What sort of things does it do?
Well, she likes to fly off the shelf a lot. She was holding, when we first started filming, we had her holding a Ouija board. Just thought, she can hold it, make it look scary. And we all witnessed it flipping out of her hand. But she's, come off the shelf at us. I don't know. Oh, she's done some crazy stuff.
Leva has seen her in her house, not necessarily
The
the
doll.
doll itself, but
Whatever's attached to the doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that on our Facebook page, the picture. My daughter, Mom, look what was in the kitchen on our camera. And yeah, there she was. Or whatever it was sitting on our deep freezer.
You called it on camera?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Let's see if I pull it up.
it honestly, you can tell that it's someone sitting there, and it looks like they're crouched down on top of the deep freezer.
Yeah.
And it's just really eerie to see.
It's kind of like she's looking over her shoulder. Like she knows where the camera is and she's looking there. It's very unsettling.
We actually just recently all got our tarots read to us. And the lady who was reading all of our tarots, everything was going pretty smooth when she was doing mine and Linda's. But then as soon as she went to Leva, stuff started going on. There was a lot of walking around, a door's opening, and the girl doing our reading, she was starting to get freaked out because Dorothy was trying to penetrate her force field. And it was just so weird because the whole room just shifted. You could just feel it.
Whoa. That's wild. Okay. So is it that black shape? Is it the
Yes,
black?
this one.
Oh
We can
man.
send it to you. So
Yeah, that'd be cool. Whoa. So how did you put that to Dorothy? What made you think that that was a connection with Dorothy?
Well, the tarot, the lady that does our tarot reading, she actually, after Leva posted it, said, "Hey, we come across this, what do you kind of asking our followers, what do you all think this is?" And she did a reading, and she is the one that kind of comes to the conclusion that it was Dorothy just by the cards. And we've all kind of just speculated that wherever Leva goes, there's Dorothy. She's always,
Man.
we've actually went on investigations before and never took Dorothy with us. And she always wants to show up on her device.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it's lucky me.
I mean, it's cool, but it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
So potentially Dorothy could do something while we're recording right now, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
She possibly could.
Oh man. I mean, I sort of want it to happen and I sort of don't. But wow. So Paranormal Coven is the name of your group.
Mhm.
Have I said that right? Please tell me I said that right.
No, you're fine.
yeah,
I
it's
said it
right.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So where did that come from? Who decided that? And is it the three of you in the group or is there more of you? And what
There's
do you guys do?
actually,
There's a total of 5 of us. The 2 others, their names are Jeremy and Josh. Usually they only come along with us when we go to like larger locations, but it's mainly us like on the smaller ones.
or if like it's a kind of a sketchy location,
Yeah.
they'll come along.
They're kind of like our bodyguards.
They do participate. So,
They
but
do.
I would say we just kind of, when we decided that we wanted to begin this, I think we were going through names and trying to decide on stuff. And I kind of come to the conclusion, we wanted paranormal something in our name. And then I was thinking about it. And since we're from Salem, it's not, the witch Salem, but we got kind of our own like little bit of witchy history here too. And I
Interesting.
was thinking with that, let's just throw the coven. And since we are, close as a group, we'll just throw the coven in there as well. So
Is there a link between the two Salems?
no, actually, yeah, there's no link at all.
Okay. Interesting. But you say is there history of witchcraft, as you say? And I know that the story, the Salem, Massachusetts story is quite well known around the world. Is there that same sort of story there, or?
Well, we didn't have anything quite like that. There was a time that she was a Native American, medicine woman, and they viewed her as a witch. And now they did burn her at the stake here. So in Salem, Massachusetts, they just hung them or, stoned them and everything like that. Nobody was ever burned at the stake, but here there was one woman burned at the stake.
Whoa. Well, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Man. So I'd like to go to the start for all of you, where it started when you was younger, I guess, and what sort of things you experienced, what got you into knowing that the paranormal is real.
I guess where it started for me, I was like, I don't know, I was probably 7, 8, and my mom was gone out of the country, and I kept seeing a tall black shadow man standing in my doorway, and he had red eyes, and he would stare at me every single night. And then like that really freaked me out, and I didn't know what it was, and I was too young really to understand like maybe it was paranormal. But the older that I got, just little things would happen, like my door would open, or you'd hear footsteps, or you hear someone talking in your house. And it started really clicking to me that whatever it is not my family. It is something paranormal. And then I remember one specific time I was at my house and I watched a full black apparition walk from one room to the other, and I was the only one home, and it completely terrified me. I remember going outside and sitting outside in my driveway for hours waiting for my family to come home because I would not go back in my house.
I don't blame you, man. So
I
was
would
that like?
say, go ahead.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry. No, I was going to because I've seen shadow figures.
yeah.
I've woke up during the night and there's been like the shape of a man standing over the bed, like darker than the room.
Yeah.
Is that what you sort of experienced, like the shape of a person?
Well, I mean, honestly, you could tell it was a person.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't just like a random blob or like some figures. Like you could see the detail of him. Like he was tall, he was very slender, he had broad shoulders, and he had like at the time, if he had like really long arms, and he had deep like socketed eyes, and but they were red.
Ooh, sounds like that.
Dave,
And
it
he would
does.
just
That's what I
like,
was thinking. I was
yeah,
going to
he would
say,
just
did he wear a
stand
hat?
there and stare at me. And it was like I was the only one that was like seeing it, and I was freaking out. I asked my brother if he ever saw it, and he always said no. So I don't know who it was, why they chose me, but they made my
Wow.
childhood rough.
Did anyone else in your family experience anything, or was it just you?
I mean,
Jaden.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jaden, my younger brother has experienced some stuff. I think collectively we've all experienced things, but I'm more open to it. So I think I notice it more than others because they're all like they want to find the reason behind what they saw. Like maybe it was just something random, like your eyes playing tricks on you. Whereas me, I'm like, nope, that was a ghost. It was real. It's gonna haunt me for my life.
Man, how? I know it might be difficult, but can you remember how tall it was?
Well, I would say like a standard door frame is probably like 6 feet 2 inches, probably.
Hmm.
It was a little taller than the door frame.
Wow, so it's pretty big.
Yeah,
Man.
it was. Yeah, I still don't know what it was, but I know it like traumatized me as a kid because I can still remember it to this day. Like clear as day, I remember seeing it. And
Yeah.
it followed me from like 3 different houses that I lived in. So it wasn't just like one house and like my mind playing tricks on me. It was like multiple houses.
That's interesting as well.
Yeah.
Whatever this was following you.
Yeah.
Man.
But since then, like, it hasn't really bothered me. And I don't know if it's just because I've become more aware of the paranormal that I don't give it the power to scare me like it did when I was younger.
Hmm.
But I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know where it went.
Do you
What
remember
happened?
when that stopped? Do you remember when you stopped experiencing that? I know it might be difficult because you was young, but
Um, I remember the last time I saw it, I was like 13.
okay. That's still kind of
So
old though. When you think, I know it's not old,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, but 13 was like around the time where I was like really diving into like the paranormal, especially with Linda.
Mhm.
So I think that's why it stopped because I was getting myself like well educated with the paranormal and the things just didn't freak me out like they used to. So I think that's why it stopped because I knew it was something paranormal and it's like, oh, she's good. She's not scared anymore.
And this whatever this thing was, it had red eyes as well.
Yes.
I mean that
I
sounds demonic.
that's what I think too, but I don't I can't explain it. I don't know why it had red eyes. I don't know the devil. I
Yeah,
don't
man.
I don't really know why it chose me out of everyone in my family that it could have shown itself to.
Hmm.
Um, I guess because I was just probably a scared little girl of everything. I was scared of the dark, literally scared of my own shadow.
I was the
So
same when I was a kid. I still am,
yeah.
to be honest, but
Yeah. So
My
I think
my
it probably just targeted me.
yeah. Well, my brother saw something similar. Because we grew up in a haunted house. I
Mm.
saw an apparition in my room when I was a kid, and my brother also saw in the same bedroom. We shared a room. He saw two red eyes floating towards him. He woke up during the night and saw two red eyes. I never saw that, and that would have been terrifying. But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Yeah, that's wild.
yeah. So, Linda, what about you? Where does it start for you?
I'd say I was really small. It was kind of what I thought was a joke at the time, but as I've gotten older, I'm kind of going, okay, maybe there's something to this. When I was very small, I mean, kids have imaginary friends, but I had three in particular. And still to this day, I remember their names, but I can't remember really what they looked like. It's very like clouded to me, but I can remember their names. I remember times talking with them and playing with them. And my mother thought for years that I was talking to ghosts. She was like, she's got to be. Well, there was a photograph taken of me as a child in the house, and my brother, he's much older than me. He actually seen me and brought it to my attention. He was like, who's this staring out the like door frame, like peeking around the door? And it's nobody in our family. We don't know who it is or anything like that.
Whoa.
But yeah, that's really like where I'm like, okay, maybe I was seeing things.
Was that like a full-bodied
Oh
apparition in
yeah,
the
it was
photo?
like, well, you can just see the face, and it's a woman's face, and she's just kind of peeking around the door, smiling. Because I was riding my bike through the house, and my mom snapped the picture, and you can see it perfectly. And yeah, it's very, very spooky.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then I think after that, just kind of odd experiences. Then when I was at my mom's apartment one night, I was probably about 12, 13. I woke up and I got this overwhelming fear, like that fight or flight, but it's like severe. And I rolled into bed and I looked at the foot of the bed, and there was this thing that was blacker than black, just standing at the foot of the bed. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie As Above, So Below.
I've not seen that, no.
Okay. So there's this one scene towards the end of the movie where where they're supposed to be like in the depths of hell. And there's like these cloaked figures, and they're blacker than black. And that's what I thought I seen. And I just froze up, and I finally was able to holler out, and my mom ran in there and got me. And once she opened the door, it was gone, but I could see it.
Whoa.
Standing there at the foot of the bed. And I swear I slept with my mom for probably a month straight after that, because I wouldn't sleep in there. And then kind of backtracking back to the imaginary friend, my favorite imaginary friend was her name was Shuey. I don't know why. That
Great
was her
name.
name. Just an odd name. Years later, my dad had a surplus store, and I took my daughter in there, and she was very small, and nothing ever got brought up about Shuey or anything. And my daughter was standing there playing, and she was like talking to someone, and my dad looked at her and said, "Who are you talking to?" And she goes, "Shuey." And that was like my dad. He was like, "Oh, get her out of here." Like, he was freaking out, because that was like, I was so obsessed with this friend that I had. My dad would tell a story to, my friends, and he jumped up in his truck to leave one day, and I was sitting in the middle, and I started screaming, and he jumped out thinking he had sat on me, and he was checking me out, and, "Are you okay?" And I said, "You sat on Shuey." So, she was like my, best, friend and everything. And then years later, my daughter says something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I think I've
Wow.
always been a believer.
So did you say your dad saw her as well?
Yeah. Well, he didn't. You talking about what my daughter said, or?
So when your dad when he thought he was sitting on you, did
Yeah.
he see like?
No, he didn't see anything at all. He just, with the way I acted, he thought, "Oh gosh," that he thought he sat on me, and he was checking my legs and everything. And I was like, "No, you sat on Shuey."
Yeah.
So, my dad's always kind of been very skeptical of stuff, so he's really not into it. But Yeah, I've had a lot of family members tell me through the years, like, we think you were talking to ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad, he would just call me a weird kid. So,
I had that.
um,
We're not weird, we're cool. We're the cool kids, really.
yeah.
We might be weird when we're kids, but then we're cool when we get older.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild, though, that your daughter said that.
Yeah.
Because, man, did your daughter have any other experience? Did she come out with things like that makes you think she's possibly experiencing the same sort of stuff you did?
At times, I mean, she's done a few things that have kind of freaked me out. She she used to have night terrors really bad. And she would sleepwalk really bad. And she used to come and just stand on, the side of the bed and stare. And if you would try to move her or, she would do this weird shaking, like, I don't know. She used to really freak me out. But she would sit there and you would like look at her and she'd walk in and go and do this weird thing and you're like, okay.
See, that is scary. That is
Yeah, it's
my
very
kids
true.
do it and they get me because I have
Yeah.
woke up like yourself and seen something there. So then
Oh,
when you see anything, it's scary. So
yeah. I mean, it's a good thing you don't have a good reflex, to punch
Yeah.
something and it's your own kid. But
Punch him in the throat.
she's done that stuff. But my daughter now, she's almost 15 and she likes watching the paranormal stuff. She'll watch our videos, but her actually going out, she can't do it. She's
Mhm.
very terrified. Like she's just not into it like that.
We made her go one time. I told her, just get in the car. We're going somewhere. So she gets in the car and we're at the cemetery. She's like, no.
Turn around.
Too late. We're here already.
We can't go back now. So you were the skeptic
I am.
of the
I
group.
was.
Oh, you were? Oh, that's cool. But I think it is cool to have someone, a skeptic, because if I had a paranormal group, I'd be the one that's like, that was paranormal every time. So it is good to have someone with like a level head that's like, no, it could be this, could be that. Is that what you are? Or
Well, I was. Now Josh,
Yeah, I was gonna say Josh
Yeah.
is more like that than
yeah, he's like, no, y'all just hearing things. There ain't nothing there.
besides a couple times he's
Yeah.
experienced something and he's like, whoa.
He's like, was that you all? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because he was upstairs and he thought I was hollering for him.
Yeah, that was a
And
Randolph.
I'm like, no, I was in the basement. I don't see how you can hear me when I was in the basement.
Well, that
Yeah.
night we was walking down the hallway at Waverly on the first floor, Josh was leading and you could see he stopped and he was staring down the hallway. Like, because if a person ever goes to Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky, you can literally look at the floor and you can see the shadows walking.
wow.
Yeah, it's really trippy. And I told them that. I don't think any of them believed me. I think they were like, she's crazy. And then when we went, I'll never forget it when we was walking down the hallway, Josh just froze and he was staring down there. And I'm like, yeah, we see it. We can see him.
Wow.
But if you ask him, he'll tell you, oh, I didn't see nothing.
Yeah, he tries to
Yeah.
be like, oh, he tries to
Be the
explain
tough guy.
Yeah, I've got a few buddies like that. They'll say, like, tell me, why'd you look into this stuff? And it's not real. And then they'll tell me like an experience that they've had that's like wild. Like they've seen a ghost sitting on the end of their bed. I've had friends tell me that they've seen a ghost at the end of their bed, but they're still, and I get it, like, because you've got to question these things as well. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they won't have it, some of them. Even the ones that have had big experiences. You mentioned Waverly Hills. Have I said that right? Wait, it is Waverly Hills. Well, Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills. That's one of the most haunted places in the world, I think. I mean, that comes up very often, that
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So you guys go there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been twice. And the first time I ever went, we was kind of with a noisy group. And so we kind of separated ourselves. So there was 5 of us and we kind of separated ourselves while the noisy group went on. And we sat on the 3rd floor. And the 3rd floor doesn't really get talked about at all. They either talk about, the 5th floor or the morgue or the death tunnel. But this 3rd floor, we were sitting and I'm sitting in the middle of the hallway and I had 2 people behind me facing down the other way. Person here leaned up against the wall. and I was looking down at the hallway, and the moonlight comes in perfectly there. So you can see without a flashlight. You do not need a flashlight in this place. And I'm looking down there and I see a full body apparition. Like, you see it's a person, but they're, transparent. And they come and they tiptoe out. Well, the people down at the end, the noisier people, they're in the stairwell being loud. And I'm looking and I see this thing tiptoe out, and it looks down like towards where the stairwell is, and then tiptoes across to the other room. And I was like, holy, I can't believe. And then the guy next to me said, did you just see what I seen? And I said, you seen it too? I said, it tiptoed out. And he said, yeah, I just watched that. So I wasn't the only one that witnessed it. And then, so the second time we went is when we all went collectively together. And I would tell him, your flashlight's your worst enemy. Like, your eyes will adjust. The moonlight comes in, and you can literally just look at the floor. And where they used to lay the beds out for the TB patients, the moonlight comes in there, and you can see the shadows moving, or they're just walking back and forth through the hallways.
Whoa.
I mean, to me, I feel like there's thousands of spirits, and they're just
That's
100%.
wild.
like, yeah.
So was it a tuberculosis hospital? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yes.
Was it always that, or was it other stuff as well?
No. So, it actually, where the hill sets on, it was a school. And then when the TB pandemic happened, or epidemic, whatever, when it started happening, that's when they built the hospital. And I think it was at first maybe a 3-story structure. And then when it got really bad, they had to quarantine the entire area. That's when they built the Gothic structure that sits there today. And it was like that from, I think, 1920 something all the way until the late 1960s, when they finally cured tuberculosis and it was over. And then I think it sat abandoned for a little bit, and then a nursing home ended up taking it over. And the state board had told them they could only use the first, second, and third floors. The fourth and the fifth, nobody could be there because it was unsafe. And I think they said a state worker had come in, like snuck in, and got on the elevator and hit the elevator, but it took them up to the 4th floor. And when the elevator doors opened, he heard something, started exploring down the hallway, and noticed there was patients locked in these rooms. Like, I think they were old-timers, dementia patients, people, that had, a lot of mental issues. They were chained to beds. And so the state come in and said, nope. And they shut them down completely. And then since then, it stayed abandoned until the early 2000s, when the owners that own it now bought it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say that place has got a lot of dark energy.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of bad things have happened there, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can feel it as soon as you walk in.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. And you say you can see shadows walking along the floor.
Oh, yeah. You can see, like, if you're walking down the hallway, because they're stairwells, they'll have there's no electricity through the building besides the stairwells.
Mm-hmm.
And when them stairwells, you can look at the light on the floor, and you can see them going up and down the steps. So you can see the shadows traveling in the stairwells, down the hallways. And if you look down the hallway, you can even see like heads peeking out of doorways.
Oh,
so
man.
They're very aware of people there.
Is that kind of like a guaranteed spot for you guys? Are you guaranteed to get activity there? I need to go there.
Yeah, that's one thing I tell a lot of people is, like, if you can go to any place, my opinion, go to Waverly Hills.
Yeah.
Because you will become a believer.
So that full-bodied apparition that you saw there,
Mm-hmm.
did you know who that was? Could you make out if it was a man, a woman, or?
I really couldn't tell. To me, I felt like it was a female energy just by kind of sensing it. I couldn't really see it that well, but I could see through it. I know. But it was, I think I take it as it was a female energy. But she was like, it's like she was skittish and just very timid. And that's why she was tiptoeing but I don't think the way I take it is she was hearing all this noise, from these people. She didn't know we were just sitting in the hallway being super quiet and just sitting there. So I don't think she realized we were down there, but she was, aware of
interesting.
this situation. So
Yeah. So you feel like she showed herself, but she didn't realize that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
Man, wow. It's freaky stuff, man. I'd love to go there, but I would be scared, that's for sure. It's good that you saw that with someone else as well. Because it's
Yes.
good when you have experiences, it's amazing. But when two of you have seen something, the same thing, that's like, how can
Yeah.
anyone deny that then, you know?
Right.
It's definitely harder to be able to debunk it if
Mhm.
more than one person saw it.
Yeah,
So
for sure. So, Leva, going back to your skeptic side, did you have any experiences when you were younger?
I would always hear stuff and be scared. 'Cause I would sleep with the freaking lamp on because I was always terrified in the middle of the night. But the more that I got into it, the more I started believing, especially with them too. Like, even my living room door would open and shut. My closets would open and shut. Yeah, like she has the video that my son was sending because he'll be home, and then of course now that Dorothy's hanging out in my house.
Yeah. Does that worry you guys, the fact that this stuff follows you home?
well, I think that maybe at the beginning it worried us because we really didn't have, I guess, the knowledge or the tools to be able to protect ourselves when we came back. But since then, we've done a lot of research on how to protect ourselves when we go to these locations. So it's not so much a worry now, but then before, yes, it was totally something that we were worried about. Especially with them both having kids. It's like you don't really want to bring anything home when you have small children in the house or even teenagers in the house.
Yep.
But I will say, since we started doing, I've never had anything follow me home. Not like they have had, they've had weird stuff go on at home. I've never had anything to where I'm like, whoa, what was that? But I'm constantly burning incense in my house
and she's usually always the one that always has protection with her.
Yeah.
She always takes her rosary beads with her everywhere she goes. So I think that also like puts a guard around her to protect her from things. As for Leva and I, we just go in, we're like, let's do this.
See what you got.
I'm a big taunter. I want to see stuff fall off the shelf. I'm mean. I think that's the reason why I get my attachment. I really am.
Yeah. So what was the switching point for you? You said you're a believer now. What was the point that made you go, this is real?
I believe, to be honest with you, is whenever we went to Randolph County. We haven't filmed that one or nothing, but I would always feel like something was right there at me the whole time. Like I couldn't even go to the bathroom without somebody going with me because I just felt like somebody was watching, going along with me. And we did solos at one of the jails. I'm telling you, it was horrible. I just felt like somebody just was like right there.
Wow.
And then seeing stuff fly off the shelf here, my door's opening, shutting. It's just messed up.
I think once you accept it, I was quite young when I accepted. I knew that there was something more going on because I saw stuff. I think once you accept it and you know that there's more, that's when you start experiencing more stuff as well. Like little things that you might miss. You're like, and I am one to like always jump to the paranormal, as I said, but I do think this stuff opens up to you when you look into the paranormal. I think it looks back. And I really do think that, and that is scary, but that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that I think Leva really opened her eyes when we went to Randolph because the energy in Randolph was so thick. Like it was almost hard to breathe. And I think at first you were like, I don't think right at the beginning she was like, oh, this is going to be, I'm going to see anything or hear anything. But at the end of it, she did come out like a full believer. And now she's like, she's being haunted by Dorothy. and now she needs to get rid of it, and she doesn't know how to. So we're trying
So,
to find
Dor-
different things to keep Dorothy in this building and not going into her house.
Dorothy, cover your ears if you're listening.
Yeah.
She doesn't mean it. I don't think I could have. I've got haunted stuff going on in my house, but I think if I knew that there was an object that was haunted, I think it'd have to go. As much as I
Yeah.
love this stuff, I really do. I love talking about it. I love looking into it. It'd have to go.
Yeah.
Maybe you could
We'll
put
go
it
with
like the Annabelle doll. They put that in a box, didn't they?
That's
Maybe
what I told them. I was
maybe
like,
do
we're
that.
just gonna get her a case.
Just lock her
Just
inside.
lock her up.
Yeah, put her in the shed.
Yeah.
I try to get the girls to take her home, but they won't.
Yeah.
Hey, this is her home, not at my house, not at Linda's house. Like,
So have you guys seen anything while you've been investigating, or have you ever seen anything into your adult years?
yes. There most of the places that we go to, I mean, there's some that we've been to that I haven't seen or anything, but most of the time we do see or hear things. But I know that when I bought my house back in 2017, it was one of the first houses I've ever lived in that I didn't feel anything paranormal in. And it was like a nice breath of fresh air. But then when we started doing the investigating, some things did start happening. Like I would hear my brother or my mom's voice, and no one was there to be able to hear them. I've walked into rooms where there's like random puddles of blood, and there is no
Whoa.
way that there would be like blood coming from anything or anyone. And it wasn't just like your normal like colored blood. It was like almost coagulated, and it was really odd. I don't know where it came from, how it got there, why it was there, but I know that like the next day I like went through my entire house and staged it all, and it was like, you've got to leave, you can't be here. But then after that, like I haven't heard anything in my house, but here in this room there's always something going on.
Yeah, there's always something in here.
I keep seeing you guys sort of looking around like.
Yeah. I know we can hear the things going on, but like it's not, obviously you can't hear it, so we're like, what was that?
I'm just waiting for her to come flying because I'm directly in her path. So
I mean, that would be terrifying, but incredible if she did that live on the show. That'd be amazing.
Oh god.
So you used to get blood just turn up in your house. That's
Yeah.
wild.
I had it was probably like this size of like a blood puddle
How
in my
often would that
house. I honestly don't know. I don't know how.
Would that be something that you'd find quite a lot? Would that be?
No, that was the first time ever I have found a puddle of blood in my house, and it was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, there was no way for that puddle of blood just to get there.
Yeah. That's what. No animals. Nothing like
I
that.
have animals, but like they're like, I take them to the vet all the time. Nothing's been wrong. Like,
Mhm.
and they don't stay in the room that I found it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for it to happen, like I thought of everything. Like, is it my animals? I went and checked them. No, it wasn't them.
Mhm.
I questioned if anyone in my family got sick, and I'm like, if you are sick, why are you throwing up blood? Like, go to the hospital. But
Yeah, that's not good.
nothing
Yeah.
happened. And
Yeah.
so I just can't. I honestly cannot think of why there would be blood in my house in a puddle that big.
Yeah. Wow.
So I still don't know, but I know that it happened right after. What place did we go to?
I think it was Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So right after we came back from Randolph, that's when I found it.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
Now,
I'm ready to go
Randolph, yeah, Leva wants to go back there, but Randolph
Oh.
County Infirmary, it's in Winchester, Indiana. It's about 3 hours from where we are now.
I'm gonna have to go get a charger right now. I'm plugged in. Sorry, I'll be right back.
That's okay.
But yeah, so Randolph County, Winchester, it's actually an old poor farm. I don't know if you have ever heard of
What is
those.
that? We probably do, but I'm just stupid.
Okay, so they call it a poor farm. It was kind of like an asylum for people that didn't fit in the community
Oh, okay.
in those times. So they were drifters, or they were, widows, orphans, people with, disabilities, people that couldn't take care of themselves. So it was kind of like a asylum for those people. And they lived there among the caretaker, and it was a farm, and they tended to things. And we actually discovered it through their Project Fear now on YouTube, but they were Destination Fear, so Dakota and all them. And I was like, hey, this is close to us. Let's go there. And their episode, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was truly terrifying. Chelsea, his sister, was alone in the basement, which kudos to her, because I would never, ever on this God's green earth go in that basement by myself like that. And she went down there and sat, and she was kind of talking and getting weird, responses on the Ovilus she was using. And all of a sudden you hear this really old grandma voice go, hello, down at the end of the hall. If I heard that, I would have became a spirit of the building, because I would have just passed away right there. But so we was like, we need to go there. Jeremy actually was taking pictures down that way of the hallway, and pretty sure he caught the apparition of the woman, a very old granny. Like, you could see her like poofy white hair.
Whoa.
It's very freaky. And the basement,
of all the places, that basement scares me more than anything.
Yeah, it's not a good place at all.
Basements are quite scary anyway, but then when you add that history and what else has gone on there?
So they have they have a room full of mirrors, like facing each other, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
they call that their scrying room. And I'm just one that if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to that stuff, don't do it. And they just kind of leave it open for people to do. And I'm, no. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing, so I sat down and started doing it. And she's like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
You're braver than me. Braver than me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So what sort of things are people seeing there at that place?
They've seen full body apparitions. They've heard voices. They've heard footsteps, doors closing.
Some kind of creature crawling on the walls.
So what the caretaker told us there is that they see this creature, and it looks like, this is their words, not mine. It's very odd. It looks like a baby octopus.
Whoa.
And it's just this like thing of energy, and it crawls up on the walls of the ceiling. Like, they see this thing, and I'm like,
I didn't see it.
that's not normal.
How do they describe that? It looks like an octopus. Is it like black or?
Yeah, they say it's like this black, like, little thing of energy that has like tentacles, and there's these legs, and it's just, and I'm like, no.
Whoa.
That's probably something I brought in there.
No, it was there. It was there.
Don't want to bring that back. Wow. I mean, they look like aliens anyway, octopuses, I think. They've got.
Yeah, they're very weird looking.
I would have died if I seen something like that on the week.
Some people say they are aliens. I've spoken to people, and some people say they are aliens because nothing matches. Their DNA doesn't match with anything else on Earth, apparently. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. But I think we've experienced, that type of thing there. The jail, what would you say? The Blackford County Jail, which it is owned by the same owners of Randolph County Infirmary, but it's in Hartford City. So it's only, maybe 30, 40 minutes away from Winchester?
Yeah, something like that. It's not too far.
I didn't get much at the jail. it just felt like he was being watched.
That's what I say. Yeah,
But I didn't get much of a sense of terror.
No,
I mean, the
too
basement, it did look like we was walking through the Paris catacombs,
Mhm.
but just minus the bones and skulls. But it was, you know, that was a little unsettling. But besides that, I didn't get much off that. And then we went to the Monroe Demon House.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Got a few odd things there, but the majority of the time it was pretty quiet. Because we try to tell some of our viewers, you know, just because, you know, this larger channel goes there and they get this, and that, that's not necessarily all happening at once. That's over a period of time. But then also, you know, we try to stay real with our viewers that,
Mhm.
you know, that's not how it usually goes when you go to these.
You get nights where nothing happens.
Oh yeah.
like the Stone Mansion.
Yeah.
Only one thing happened that night there was a piano key ding, but other than that,
That's quite weird, though.
Yeah.
If no one's touched it and it's gone off, that's quite weird, I think.
Well, we was actually doing a tour and we had just walked in when we first arrived and she was kind of telling us about it. And all of a sudden you hear ting, like a key on a piano. And she was like, did anybody else hear that? We were like, yeah. She took us in the room where the piano is. And of course, there's nobody else in the
and the thing was
house.
shut. Like the keys weren't even open. The thing
That's
was
weird.
yeah.
Man,
So that's not it.
wow.
So that's freaks to death.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
man.
it was so cold that night.
Indiana
Man.
State.
So,
Yeah, I know.
question for all of you. What is the freakiest thing you guys have experienced each? What would you say is your scariest experience? You might have already told us it, but what so far, what has been the scariest thing you've come across or experienced?
Dorothy jumping off from this table right here.
How far did she go?
Huh. Way out there. Not half. I don't know. It's a good. It was enough that I thought I was dying. Yeah, we're all sitting over there talking. Next thing you know, boom.
Wow.
Well, I'd say also for you too was the night that you decided there's a local cemetery here. We have a local cemetery here. It's kind of sits out in the country and it's got an old like Stonehenge wall around it. So it's very,
cool.
very old. And she decided to go out there alone.
I didn't go alone. I took this.
Well, she took Dorothy with her.
I don't know what's worse.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. It was
I would say with the freakiest part for her too is there was no wind blowing or anything. And she turns the camera and you see this one singular leaf on this tree just flipping and flapping. And there's no wind. And because she's on live, I'm literally screaming through the phone.
I'm at work on my phone screaming at her.
I'm like, do not go near that. I don't know what that is. And I would say that was probably the most freaky.
It was in the woods. It was outside the cemetery. And I'm like, should I go out there?
We're all like
Wow.
screaming from different areas. We're like, no.
Like, it's just, I just felt like I needed to go out there. So I walked down there about halfway and got a little bit more scared and was like, oh, maybe I'll not do this. Then I heard something and I'm like, nope. And I went to the car and left.
You're a lot braver than me. Man.
Without you.
I'm having a hard time coming up with the scariest.
It's always scary when we go to the
Moment
Hague
for us.
Cemetery. We always get something there. Like the pictures that we've taken. Got pictures of people in the cemetery, like the bent neck lady in a tree. Yeah.
What's that? You got to tell me about that. What is that?
So I think the first time Leva told me about the cemetery, she was familiar with it. And so we went out there and as soon as we got out there, we turned the device on, just kind of see what we get. And the first thing that come through, it was talking about this hag, out there in these woods. And we're like, okay, well, it's coming off saying like she was hung, she killed me, she took my head, and we're kind of going, okay, what's going on out here?
Yeah, we kept getting witch.
And I told them, I said, look, I think something's happened on this land, but in the woods out here. And I said, I feel like this woman like might have got accused of something, which I've not done the research on it. I'm going to do it because it's just depending on how far long ago it was. And I was like, I feel like she's like roaming out here, but something happened. She was accused of something. She did retaliation, and the retaliation happened, and then like they, hung her or something. But that's the only conclusion I could come with. But when we caught her pictures, her neck's like,
Yeah, sideways, like peeking out her tree. It's
like,
crazy.
so Leva took a picture of
Whoa.
the tree, and she's like this, looking on the outside of the tree towards us. And we've caught a few pictures of like different things inside the cemetery. But told Leva, I was like, yeah. So we call her the bent neck hag.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure we know.
What?
You didn't hear that?
There was a voice behind us.
Swear.
Oh
Well,
man,
the
what did it
curtain
say?
opened- the curtain opened and she freaking shut it. So I was asking her about that.
But
You guys started pointing at something in the corner as well. What was that?
Well, she came back out and she shut our curtain, but the curtain's open because I asked her, I said, did you shut that curtain? She said, yeah. The next thing we know, we heard a voice behind us.
Oh,
But I have the speculation that when Leva took Dorothy to the old hag cemetery with her, that the old hag has attached herself to this doll. And that's what's in
interesting.
here now is the bent neck hag.
Oh, man, God.
I don't think she likes it when I call her the bent neck hag.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know what else to call her.
the picture
But-
that you caught, was it like a shadow, or what was the
No,
picture
you could
like?
see a full female face. Like you could see her feature. She was actually, her face looked, which I'll send it to you. But
Is this-
her face looked blue.
Yeah.
Like she looked very blue in the face. But yeah, you could see clearly she's looking like, and you could
That's
see her
wild.
hair's put up in a bun like they would in the 1800s or so on. But she's
Whoa.
like, yeah.
Because the
Um,
first picture we took, there was a blue figure out in the cemetery too.
Oh, actually, I do remember a scary moment of
Okay.
ours. So we went to another local cemetery around here, and it's called. Can I name say it? Schoolhouse Hill.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Go
We
ahead.
went to Schoolhouse Hill, and we came. we weren't really recording at this time, but we had our voice recorder with us, and one of us had noticed that there was a tombstone, but it was like a child's tombstone. And so we just turned on the voice recorder and we started asking questions. And then when we stopped and we listened back to it, you could literally hear a baby crying in our
Yeah, it
Our voice
sounded like
recording.
a small
right
child.
right in front of the child's tombstone.
Well, it's weird at the time that we was getting that, it's starting to get dark. And I remember there was a broken tombstone. So the base of it was a large tombstone. So the top was broken off and the base was sitting there. So I kind of like squatted down next to it to lean against it, just kind of waiting for it to get darker. And I turned my head, if you remember, and I started freaking out because I said, I just seen little legs running. It looked like transparent little white legs just running across the cemetery. And I was like, oh my God, did nobody else see that? I was like, I wonder if that's what we caught crying. Well, then later when it got dark, if you remember,
yeah.
we were kind of towards the back end of the cemetery and me and her both seen it. You could see it fully
Like it was a full child.
but it was not, it was weird.
Yeah, it was obviously a child, but it wasn't like it didn't look like a child, but you could tell it was a child.
Did you say a
It's-
puckwudgie then?
Yeah.
I love puckwudgies, man. They fascinate me. Sorry.
But what was weird is we watched it manifest.
Yeah.
Like we watched it form. And then it was like it looked like a naked baby.
Yeah, it looked like a
but then
naked
it got
baby.
bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, at that point, we
You
was like,
both
we
saw
need to get
that?
out of here.
You
And then
both
about that
saw that as
time,
well?
the crackhead showed up.
Yeah.
We ran out of there.
Oh.
That always happens.
That's probably even scarier.
It
Yes.
was.
Yeah,
But
because we all got in
you
the
both
car
saw
and
that
then-
apparition, though.
What?
Sorry, you both saw that apparition.
Yeah, we seen it like fully manifest and just, and I was like, that's freaky.
That's wild.
And then those weirdos showed up.
What about Franklin? Remember that thing we captured at Franklin Cemetery?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm not sure really what it was, to be honest with you. It looked like something back in the, I don't know, Days had one of them old dresses on, was crouched down because we didn't even see it, but her husband Jeremy seen it as she was editing the video.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was like, what was that? And I was like, what do you mean? And I slowed it up, and then I see, I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was just like a full apparition, just squatted down, like, and I don't like things that crawl. And my first thought was, what if that thing would have been crawling at us that whole time and we wouldn't have known?
It's just crazy we didn't see it. We were there for like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you hear that a lot though.
100 times.
You hear that with people when they're looking back and they're editing, like you might hear a noise or see something that you didn't see at the time, but the camera's caught it. I find that interesting.
Yeah, that is.
We have a lot of times where we hear a lot of voices, but when we go back and edit, it's like we don't hear them at the time, but when we go back and edit it, like you can fully hear exactly what they're saying.
Man, is there something else going on around there? I am seeing lights. I don't know if you guys have got like if you got like a light machine or something.
About the candles.
Oh yeah, we got like 5 or 6 candles in here, and you have to actually turn them on. And every so often you come up here, they'll be lit, or we'll start talking about Dorothy, and one at a time we'll start lighting up.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we'll see.
They're all lit right now.
I do keep seeing like little. They look a little bit like little wolves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to actually physically turn them on and off, and we'll come up here and they'll just turn on or randomly turn off, and we start talking.
Yeah, we have a lot of orbs that are up here.
Yeah, I've seen him. I'm seeing them constantly. I didn't know if you had like a little light thing in there or something. Can it?
No.
Whoa! Well, when you watch it back, you will see there's loads. Katelyn, you were going to say something about getting in a car, and I rudely interrupted you.
Oh no, you're good. It was really yeah. We got in the car, and the people that were coming into the cemetery, like they stopped and they were like peeking into our windows, and I'm like, someone's gonna open this door and I'm gonna kick someone in the throat. Like
that is scarier than any ghost, any cryptid, any
and
alien.
I was like, whatever's in there, I hope it gets you and leaves us alone.
Who said Pukwudgie? Because Pukwudgies and little people, cryptids, gnomes, I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, because we went to the Blackburn County Jail. They were talking about like something running across the floor or whatever. They said something about Pukwudgie. So every time we go somewhere, they say, what's that? I was like, it's probably a Pukwudgie up in the tree about to bounce on you.
Everything's a Pukwudgie.
More people are talking about that though, like the creatures of the Fae. I'm hearing that a lot more. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is, but a lot more people seem to be talking about it. And like I would say, like with aliens now, most people will say that there's something going on out there. We don't know what it is, but there's something going on.
Yeah.
I feel like people are getting more confident in talking about creatures of the Fae as well, and Bigfoot and all that sort of stuff, which I love. Oh, I said Bigfoot. Is Bigfoot? Are you guys interested in that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, let's go.
We did a 3 a.m. challenge at the Old Hag for a Halloween special, and the whole time out there you could hear a tree knocking, and I mean it was so loud, and we only went maybe
20 feet from the gate.
20 feet from the gate inside the cemetery because it was so loud. We was like,
I'm like, it's a Bigfoot, man, when you stay together.
She was like, we're not going down there. I'm like, no, we're not. And there's actually a page for Southern Indiana, like cryptids and supernatural, that there has been multiple sightings in our area of Bigfoot.
For real?
Yes. And I'm like, great.
Love that. Have you guys seen anything like that? Have you seen any cryptid or alien craft or anything like that?
I think we've seen strange lights in the sky before, and yeah, that's a big thing around here. I've never personally seen Bigfoot per se or anything quite like that. I don't think I've really ever seen much of a cryptid.
There was actually not too long ago. It was probably like 3 or 4 months ago. I was at work and I stepped outside to talk to some people, and they had their backs. Well, they were facing me, so their backs were towards the road. And I was listening and I was looking up at the sky, And like about that time, I saw a huge light shine in the sky, and then it burst. Like it looked like fireworks, but it was like way too high to be fireworks. And I was like, "Did you guys see that?" And they literally thought I was crazy because I was like, "How did you not see that? Like we're all outside. Like it looked like a flash of lightning." And I was, "How?" And they're like, "We didn't see nothing." I'm like, "You guys are crazy."
Was they on
So
their
I don't
phone?
know what that was, but I was like,
Well, I think we've
What's
seen
going
like
on?
we've seen the stream of lights, like, and that was like a big thing in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a lot of sightings around here, people seeing weird things. That Schoolhouse Hill cemetery that we was discussing, there has been a lot of cryptid sightings there, a lot of Bigfoot. They've actually talked about these weird creatures that are like almost pale white.
skinwalkers.
That people
Skinwalkers.
call them skinwalkers.
Yeah, man.
Vampires.
And they've had like really long arms, like weird long like legs. And there's been tales of like at that particular area of people's pets going missing. And when they would go out there, they would find like the dog collar or the cat collar, but the animal's gone. And then there was talks of there would be holes out there, like freshly dug holes. And then you'd go out there the next day and they were filled back in. And people kind of took it as like whatever's out here is like setting traps for animals or people or something. And then it's covering stuff back up. There's been stories of like full trees being pulled, like not like a big oak tree, but kind of a thinner tree being pulled out and thrown at people in those woods. So I'd say that area is pretty big for those. Yeah.
I've heard Bigfoot do that. I've heard of accounts where that happens, but that's wild, man. I mean, the skinwalkers, the rake, whatever, that could be the description of both of them things. But some people won't even say skinwalker. I have guests on that won't even say that word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like,
Linda. That's like why she was avoiding it. She was like more like trying to just describe it.
I had a very Appalachian grandmother that was like, don't go in the woods at night. You don't talk about, skinwalkers.
If you heard something, no, you didn't.
Yeah, if you heard something or you heard your name, no, you didn't. Yeah.
I find that interesting because seems to be like our grandparents' generation. Like they wouldn't talk about this stuff. They had experiences, they believed it, but they wouldn't talk about it. Like we're in a generation now where we go on podcasts and talk about it, and we go on YouTube and talk about it, and we're very more open now, which is great for us. It's interesting though. Do you think, like we said before, if you look into this stuff and you talk about it, you talk it out loud, you're thinking about it, you're inviting it? Do you think that's what it is?
I think I highly believe that there's a location here in our town that people's claimed for years that this witch was out here, which is just, a legend, kind of like folklore. It never really happened. There was a death that occurred out there, but it has nothing to do with this kind of witchy circumstance. But as teenagers, we used to sneak back there to get a thrill. And that is the one place I've told them that even if we could get back there now, I would never step foot back there.
Wow.
Because I remember walking so far down into the woods to this, and it feels like stuff was like dripping on you. And you would look and go like this, and there was nothing.
Whoa.
And you just feel like it looked like fingertips would touch you. And it was just a very like, I don't know the feeling, like worse than fear. Like it was just that almost like you were afraid you were going to die if you go out there.
Wow.
And that's just one spot. During the day, I'll go out there because there's a cemetery back there, and but when it becomes night, because I think whatever's out there, it wakes up.
That's wild.
But I think so many people through the years have manifested something out there.
Yeah.
Man, that's weird because you go to some scary places. That must be scary.
It is.
It's a very terrifying.
We put on a brave face, but we're like literally crapping ourselves. When we
Yeah.
leave them.
I don't blame you. I mean, that sounds, when you're saying about the dripping, I'm just trying to think what that could be. Now that sounds like you could be like walking through some sort of like portal or something that you can't see, but
Right.
for the texture to change, for the atmosphere to change, I don't know, but that's interesting, man. Wow. What do you guys? Oh, actually, I want to go back to the hag quickly. I wrote this down so I didn't forget. You caught the hag, the bent hag. Did you catch the full body of that?
Mhm.
Wow. So you got the face, the neck bent, and the full body as well.
Well, we got just the head bent in the one, but then we've
Mhm.
also caught her standing on the other side of the stone wall, standing there.
Mhm.
And her neck at that point is not bent.
Wow.
So I think how she wants to present herself is how we see her.
Interesting. You guys see a lot of stuff. Like, would you consider yourselves like, I know people put themselves in categories or whatever, and do you see yourself as sensitives or that you've got abilities, anything like that?
I think that like Linda and I are both really sensitive, but if I had to like pick, I would say Linda is more sensitive than all of us. Because I can feel the energy shift in a room. I can feel other people's emotions.
You're
I can,
very empathetic.
but like Linda can, it's almost like she can feel like the energy of if it's a man or a woman, like, or like she's just more sensitive to those things.
Well, it's like at times we pulled up at a place and like I've been with Leva and we pulled up somewhere and I'm like, no. This is bad time. So we'll leave, go somewhere else. Like there's just the odd occurrences, but I'm very empathetic too. I can walk in a room if somebody's just been arguing and they try to act like everything's fine. I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling their stress. I just feel people's
I get
emotions
that. I
really
get
well.
that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there's times I'm like, to me, if I feel if it's a female or male, like a female, I feel very like, you can just feel when it's like, I don't know how to describe it.
Is it just a knowing?
It's just kind of like, yeah, like, I don't know really how to describe it.
I don't know.
Well, see, let's put it this way. Everybody thinks that, Dorothy or whatever is playing like a child, like a mother, like I'm a mother figure.
Mhm.
Linda knows it's not a child. She knows it's never been human.
I've told Leva, whatever's like this doll, I just feel like it's never been human. And it's trying to put a front up like, oh, I'm this child energy. And I'm like, a human spirit or entity or whatever you want to call it is not going to inhabit a doll.
Mhm.
It's not going to use the doll as a vessel. Like that's sorry, but that's like Ed and Lorraine Warren 101. Like that's not going to happen. So I'm like, whatever's like messing with this or in this is like, it's never been human. Like, and then when start figuring it out, then Dorothy will kind of give us the truth a little bit. She'll say, she's from ancient times and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
it's one of those.
Ancient times. Man. What do you think Dorothy is? Like, what do you think? Like, I know we don't know, but if you had to guess, what do you think she
I
is?
think it's a demonic energy. I think it was conjured. I'm not necessarily saying that like, I'm not going to say that I think the hag is in the doll. I think maybe the hag hitched a ride and now she's kind of lingering around in here. But whatever is actually attached to this thing, like, I think it's demonic and it's never been human. And I've noticed like changes with her. So when we contacted the lady that was going to do the tarot reading, we actually went on a podcast with them and was talking with them. As soon as we shut everything off, this doll started going haywire. Like she flung off the shelf. Katelyn was getting stuff on the device, like talking about everything we had just talked about on this podcast. And we're like, what is going on? Well, Katelyn comes over here to push her back up and set her up. And the device is like kind of screaming at Katelyn saying, back off, get away. And we're like, okay, this is weird. Like I heard that. that that she thinks that we're going to try to get rid of her. And I think that she knows the tarot lady could help us do that. And that's what it was afraid of, was we were going to try to get rid of it. But then when Leva, after that, when all this stuff went off, she was calling Katelyn, do you think we ought to do this video? Do you think, with the tarot reader, do you think we ought to go somewhere else and not do it here? And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. We'll be fine. Nothing's. And then when we did our readings, everything was copacetic, fine. As soon as Leva sat down, it started going haywire. And I'm like,
the flames on our candles were going like their actual candles we had lit. The flames were like just bouncing up and down, and the whole energy in the room completely shifted. Dorothy started like trying to touch the lady doing our tarot readings. I think Leva was like getting uncomfortable because I don't know necessarily if she was like, okay, we should stop this, but there were several footsteps that Linda and I heard from outside our room, and we kept having to get up and go look. It was just really unsettling. And so now, like, even us just talking about it and Linda saying what she thinks it is, the room in here does feel different, at least to me.
Right now?
Yes.
It's very unsettling right now.
I can tell you that my back is very stiff from like how tense it is. I just feel like I don't think she's happy the fact that we're talking about what she is and what we know that she's not anymore. Well, at least Leva knows what she's not anymore.
Wow, man. That's wild.
It feels very odd, and I'm like kind of scared to look at her because
I'm sorry.
I don't want her to pounce on my face.
Yeah, I mean, I've held her, and you can just feel like you could pick up a doll and it'd be no big thing. Oh, I'm just holding this doll, but you pick her up and it's like
it's vibrating.
Your heart just kind of goes down. You feel a very heaviness on you, and it's like she vibrates.
Wow. Oh, we're frozen. Oh, we frozen.
Come up here.
Oh, we're back.
Sat down
We're back.
to do it.
Sorry, we froze for a second there. Sorry about that.
Oh,
sorry.
Which is quite weird. So
Yeah, she
That does that a lot, by the
probably
way.
already starting at this point.
whoa.
Like we'll be doing a live and it'll freeze because I get too close to her.
That's wild, man. Well, so we missed that last 20 seconds or whatever it was we were just saying because it froze. That's quite strange that it done that there.
But I try to do a solo up here to kind of see, if I can get nothing. She don't want to do anything. I mean, I can feel the energy like she's in here, but she don't want to communicate. She don't want nothing to do with it. Katelyn's tried, same thing, nothing. Now, as soon as she walks in, bam, bam, bam. She come in here by herself, and I mean, you just heard everything just going off constantly. And I was like, I tell Leva all the time, I'm like, it's you. You're the problem. But yeah,
that's wild.
It is what it is right now, I guess. But
Leva, do you feel a connection to the doll? Do you feel?
I really do. I do. Like me and my daughter would be up here, and the devices told my daughter to leave, and it would say, "Emma, you need to leave." Yeah, it doesn't like my daughter at all whatsoever.
Oh man.
Yeah. But I do feel like I'm connected. I'm always like, let's take Dorothy with us, and they're like, no, she's not going nowhere. I'm like, come on.
And that doesn't worry you. That's scaring me.
It does. I don't want it in my house.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's up here. It can stay up here all day long as it doesn't come back in my house.
I think it's one of those things where we don't want to show it fear because, if we show it fear, we give it more power. But there have been a lot of talks outside of the studio about the situation and how we can contain it to this room and this room only, because once it starts traveling inside of her house, which clearly it has, it just becomes more of a threat for her children's sake and her own. So I
What
really
was
do
that?
think that
What happened there?
I did. I think you might want to stop.
I think the
What
more
did it?
we honestly talk about her and the ways that we want to like contain her here and not allow her to free roam, I honestly genuinely think that it makes her angry.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Um
When you was talking, I heard. I don't know if you heard what I heard, but I heard. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I wasn't
What
losing my mind.
what was that? What was
it was
that?
like she heard like a high pitched
Like a squeal,
like a squeal.
like a high pitched squeal when he was talking.
Man, that's wild.
What happened? Something touch you?
Yes.
I'm
I don't
getting
like
I'm getting scared now, guys. I can't
Me too.
lie. Where I am right now, it's near the witching hour, so it's
Right.
so when I switch off, I'm on my own. Man. So, question for all of you, and it's a difficult one, but I like to sort of get people's opinions. What do you think is going on with the paranormal? What do you think it is? I know that's difficult because we don't know, but what's your thoughts overall on the paranormal?
That I mean that is a really hard question.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Because I know there's different answers. Like there could be loads of different things that are going on.
I think there could be like lots of possibilities. I think that sometimes it's just people that have passed away that have not been able to fully cross over, and they're trying to find what's keeping them here. I also think that negative energy can create something that is not. Why did you just do that?
I'm gonna go chill.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think negative energy can create something that is beyond what we can even consider paranormal, because they say a poltergeist is something that is created off fear and or like emotions, strong emotions. So when you think of it that way, it's like, how can you manifest something into moving objects or speaking to you just by your energy? So it's really hard to describe what the paranormal is, because I don't think there is a genuine answer to that. I think there's so many things that can be put into the paranormal genre that none of us really have the answer for it. And that's why, like, when people say, oh, well, they're a professional paranormal group, none of us are. We're all still trying to figure out what exactly is the paranormal, what causes it. Like, are these people that have passed and their energies are still left here on Earth, or is it something more like demons or like,
Or
you
it
know,
could be residual energy.
Yeah.
You know, somebody repeatedly did something, you know, like moving a chair so much that, you know, that residual, that chair can move, the sound of the chair moving, you know, it's really hard to say. I mean, I don't think any of us really know what, you know, I don't think any of us can come up with an explanation that would be good enough. I mean, there's so many different, you know, could be, like they said, there's so many different hauntings. Well, you have residual, then you have, you know, you could have the poltergeist stuff, but then you could, you know, I've always taken it as, you know, spirits, ghosts, or anything was people that have crossed over, you know, people that have passed on, but they've never been able to cross over. So they have like unfinished business. They have, they don't want to yet. And I wouldn't call it purgatory. You know, that's like they're in purgatory, but
what else would you call it?
I mean,
Because
it's
purgatory is your middle land between your heaven and your hell. So, I mean, there's nothing really other than you can call it just purgatory. And I mean, if that's the case, like, does that mean that all the living people are walking around in purgatory? Because if we can still feel their energy, we can see them and sense them, where does that put us?
Mhm.
Like, are we just all waiting here patiently
I
to
mean,
cross over
It's
and
a
then
very, kind of weird situation that, that times religion comes into that, it's kind of like, what do you believe? Because there's a lot of people that doesn't believe, in God or anything like that, and that, that are atheists, and then they also don't believe that, there's ghosts. There's no way when we die, that's just it. It's just blackness. And but I've experienced too many things in my life to go, okay, that's it. It's just we go in this dark abyss, no conscious, because I just don't believe that. I think that, it's
There's too much more going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a really excellent question.
Yeah.
Because I think if you ask anyone, especially like your high end paranormal groups, I don't think they have an answer to what it is.
I
It
don't know if
really
we
makes
ever
you
will.
think.
they might try to act like they know the answer to it, but
Yeah.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, if
We're
we had
all
all the
trying to
answers,
figure it out.
we wouldn't be investigating. If we had the
Exactly.
answers, we wouldn't be doing podcasts. I don't know if we're ever going to know, but we're going to have fun trying, that's for sure.
Maybe when our time comes, we might know by then.
Yeah, I think then we'll find out. Yeah. Oh, guys, I've loved talking to you tonight.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Quite scary at times as well. I'm going to be a little bit scared when we switch off. I hope if Dorothy does anything, can you please let us know?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
we will for
100%.
sure.
Can you tell the listeners where they can find you guys?
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook and TikTok at Paranormal Coven. We're actually requesting people at this time to send us some scary stories. We're going to be doing kind of like our own little like podcast sit down video, and
Awesome.
kind of going to be telling some scary stories from our followers and some viewers. And they can send those stories to us at paranormalcoven13@gmail.com. And then they can, of course, find us on YouTube at Paranormal Coven.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to be watching, that is for sure. Super interesting stuff. Keep up the great work. And
Thank you.
come back. You're welcome back on any time. We can talk
We'd
more.
love to come back.
Keep us posted with what happens. If Dorothy does anything tonight, let us know.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, make sure you share it where you can. That is a great way to support us. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, girls. Thank you.
Thank you.